Welcome to the Wired for Success podcast, your show for ambitious, mission-driven entrepreneurs who understand that there's more to entrepreneurship than finding the latest flash in the pan strategies, who understand that in order to build your empire, you need a solid foundation. I wholeheartedly believe that entrepreneurship is the biggest self-development journey you can be on, and it's my mission to help you make that journey easier. In this show, I bring together the very best from science, self-development, and entrepreneurship to set you up for sustainable success. Hi, I'm Claudia Garbutt, the scientist and mindset coach behind this show, and you're listening to the Wired for Success podcast. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another brand new episode of the Wired for Success podcast, where we talk about all things science, self-development, and entrepreneurship that help you get to that next level of success in your life and business. And today I'm excited to talk to 20-year-old mobile app designer Rebecca Mabbett. I love to share her story because it can inspire those who think that they're either too young to start their own business or those who think that they're maybe too old to start their own business, when in reality, those are just excuses and insecurities that are holding us back. So welcome, Rebecca, and thank you so much for being on my show today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
I'm really looking forward to our conversation. So let's start by telling our listeners a little bit about your background and what inspired you to build your own business.
That's a very difficult question, but I think from a very young age, I've always said to myself, I wanted to own my own business. I didn't know at the time what it was going to be in. I never thought I'd become an entrepreneur coming up with an idea. I never thought that. I just thought, I'd like to own my own business and be my own boss. I went to college, obviously, and I studied business, accounting, and textiles. So obviously the business knowledge has helped me in today. I was setting up my business. So when I was at college, I changed my whole mind and wanted to become an accountant. I was studying it, and then I just realized, actually, no, this isn't for me. So actually, when I was on holiday in, I think, August 2019, I came up with this idea of our reflections and thought, you know what, actually, this is my chance to build the dream that I've always wanted out from a small child in having my own business.
That's so cool. And I wonder what it's like to run a business at such a young age. What's the most challenging things, or what do you find most rewarding as well?
So obviously running a business at a young age, my business course that I did in college has helped me massively. But also, like, when you're so young, you're like thrown into the deep end, which I think is kind of a good thing because you learn so much. And my app's been live for about 6 months now, and I've learned so much, that I never knew before in such a short space of time. So I do actually think it's kind of beneficial that I was just thrown in because I had to learn. So yeah, I've learned so much so far. The difficult thing is obviously because I'm quite young, I haven't really had chance to. Well, I've never actually had like a full-time career. So I haven't actually got the contacts and things like that, the people that I can reach out to, like the press, retailers and things like that as of yet. And so I guess that's one of my weaknesses, because it's trying to learn how to gain the press and retailers' attention,
right,
to try and get your business out there.
Yeah, that's always difficult in the beginning, but it's the same for everyone who starts out as a new entrepreneur, getting into the business and networking and making those valuable connections. And as you've discovered, there are lots of ups and downs in this journey, on this journey. And entrepreneurship is kind of like this roller coaster, as I'm sure you've already experienced. And that's why I like to say that entrepreneurship is kind of like the biggest self-development journey you can be on, because to me, it's one of the things you need to do in order to grow as a person as well as to grow your business, is to face your doubts and your fears and to really deal with some of those strong and sometimes really uncomfortable emotions that come up along the way. So let's talk about this just for a moment. So what is it that you do when the self-doubt creeps in, and maybe there are people in your life who don't believe in you or who are not supportive? How do you react to those kinds of people?
Yes, obviously entrepreneurship and day-to-day lives, running your business, is not all sunshine and rainbows all the time. There are going to be weeks, that it goes really well, and then other weeks, it doesn't go so well, and that's when like the self-doubt does creep in, and you're like, what, not getting anywhere here, like what am I doing wrong? Like you almost blame yourself. But obviously during when I was growing up, there were like a few people who weren't that supportive on what I was going to do in my future. Obviously I wasn't very academically smart, so there were a few people like, how far is she actually going to get, and things like that. So actually, like, looking back of how far I've come and so early on in my life, I'm actually like, wow, I'm proud of where I am. And it just proves that if people tell you can't do something, you actually can. If that's what you want, and if you put your mind to it, you can do that.
Yeah, I love that. Just don't let them get into your head, right?
Yeah.
But even if you have supportive people around you, sometimes we are our own worst enemy, right? And we start to worry about the future, and we create all those worst case scenarios in our heads, and all the things that could go wrong and that keep us up at night. So is that something that you find yourself doing a lot?
Yeah, definitely. If I like stress about a problem or a problem occurs, I do get myself a bit stressed. And then, especially if it's at night, I cannot sleep and I'm tossing and turning, like, have I done it right? Or no, what about this? What about that? This could impact this, and things like that. So it is really hard, to keep away the self-doubt. But everything will work out. You're bound to fail at some points, but learning how to deal with that failure will help you to overcome the next problem or the next issue you have. Like, nothing's going to be plain sailing, and that is what one of the massive lessons I've learned from my journey so far, is that nothing is plain sailing. You can't have the ups and not have the downs. You've got to have both to be able to grow and build yourself.
Exactly. You have to see those failures as part of the journey, and find the lessons that you can learn from it, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's the lessons that you learn also just helps you build upon your business and build upon yourself. So when it happens again, you know how to deal with it and things like that.
Mm-hmm. So do you have a certain strategy that you use when those thoughts and feelings are coming up for you?
I'm still trying to work that one out. I've not got it nailed, but sometimes what I'll do is I'll take myself away from like the desk and the computer, and I'll go and do a workout or go for a walk and things like that. Just really helps me clear my head, or I go and speak to like my family members or anything like that. Just something that will distract me from the work. And then once I've got a clearer head and I'm more motivated, I'll go back to it. That's what I found works so far.
Yeah, I'm glad that you're at least trying to find a strategy, because a lot of people I see, they try to suppress those uncomfortable thoughts and emotions, and pretend they're not even there, and say, those are the kinds of people, when you ask them, how do you do, or how are you doing right now, and they are feeling really terrible, but they will still say, oh, I'm great, thank you. So they are just really trying to suppress those feelings and not deal with them. And what I've found is that the more you try to suppress them, the more they stay with us, and more they stop us from actually doing what we want to do. And it's kind of like if life hands you the same challenges over and over again until we are willing to learn from them. And maybe that's something that you've experienced too, where there seems to be a certain motive or a pattern in your life that just seems to repeat itself. And if we stay stuck in those patterns, life can feel like Groundhog Day, because we create those self-fulfilling prophecies that just give us the same experience over and over again. And oftentimes we're not aware of these consequences of the experiences, or we are aware of the experiences, but we are not aware of the underlying patterns. And being too hard on yourself, for instance, is one of those things that comes up for a lot of entrepreneurs, and that can create all sorts of those unsupportive patterns in their lives. So when you think about it, what would you say? How much does being so hard on yourself affect your business and your quality of life right now? Do you feel that it drains your energy and maybe makes you shy away from opportunities rather than embrace them?
I found that I am too hard on myself in certain aspects. From this business, I want it to go global. I want it to become my full-time career. So I am so hard on myself to try and push myself to get it there as soon as possible. Obviously, I'm not in a rush, but I would like it to keep on moving. And when things like you have patterns where it moves quite fast and then it slows down, moves quite fast, slows down, things like that. And when it slows down, I take a look back and I'm like, am I doing something wrong? Am I being too hard on myself? And I do question, obviously, whether I'm being too hard on myself when I'm overthinking things about how hard I'm working and things like that. That's when, obviously, it creeps in.
Yeah, definitely. But let's put all those challenges aside for a moment and focus on your goals and on the positive side for your goals for 2021. So what would you like to achieve this year and what steps are you taking right now to make that happen?
And this year, I'd love for my business to be featured in a national magazine or a global magazine, a fashion magazine. I'd also like to ideally have a team working with me, so employ some people. I'd love for me to be in the situation where I can do that. And I'd also like to be able to leave my part-time job and make my business my full-time job.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, best of luck for that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
And for your personal life, are there any goals that you have set yourself for your personal life?
My personal life, obviously, COVID has made me think a lot back at my personal life. And to be honest, when all this ends, it's a difficult one. I just want to be able to work hard on obviously my business, do a bit of traveling on the side in my personal life, meet with friends, things like that. Just slowly get back to normal from COVID, obviously. So I don't have any major personal goals so far.
COVID definitely makes us appreciate the normal life again, right?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
The simple pleasures like just meeting with a friend just for coffee or something.
Yeah, it becomes so much of you got to plan everything and things like that. Whereas before you could just, go straight away. But there's so many things to consider now.
Exactly. It's one of the things where you start to appreciate the things only after they've been taken away from you, right? Once they're gone, you realize, oh my goodness, it was so great.
Yeah, like never in a million years had I ever thought that we would be told not to go on holiday or you can't leave the country or anything like that. It's just crazy.
I know, it's so crazy, right? Or that you have to stay at home all the time. Like the kids are not allowed to go to sports classes or music lessons or to school or anywhere. They have to stay home, and it's such a weird situation.
Yeah, definitely. It's so uncommon as well. Like when it hit, well, it's been about a year, hasn't it, since it started affecting everyone. It's just crazy how quickly that year has gone. And I can't really remember life before, obviously, COVID now. It's just been crazy.
Yeah, it's so weird. Do you think it has affected you on a personal level?
I think so, yeah, because I used to be quite social and going out and things like that, meeting friends, just being able to, book places away. You could go to some part of England, for a little holiday or something like that, or you could book things and go away with your friends, like on holiday, family, things like that. So yeah, no, I do think so.
And has it changed the way you look at your business or the way you plan your business?
It hasn't really affected my business at all because I'm able to work from home. I just needed like a computer and things like that. So I work from home anyway. So it doesn't really affect me too much. Obviously, I've got a part-time job and I do miss socializing with my friends at work. So that's also a bit, a bit difficult now.
Sure. So last but not least, can you tell us where our listeners can find you online if they'd like to find out more about your business, for example?
Yeah, of course. So I've got Instagram and Facebook, and my Instagram and Facebook are both at R Reflections Ltd.
Perfect. Wonderful. I will definitely make sure to put that into the show notes so it's easy for our listeners to find you online. And then thank you so much for this interview today.
Oh, thank you so much for everyone listening. I do really appreciate it. And thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. Take care and talk soon.
Thank you. Will do. Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening to the Wired for Success podcast. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, please take a sec to rate and review my show. It would mean the world to me because you'd help me reach more entrepreneurs like yourself who would love this show. If you'd like to learn more about creating a widely successful business without sacrificing your health, relationships, or sanity, make sure to stick around and subscribe so you don't miss out on any future episodes. And why don't you help me spread the word and share this show with your friends? I'd really appreciate it, and I'm sure your friends will too. Want to continue this conversation, build real relationships, and join a community of like-minded entrepreneurs? Come join my free Facebook community for visionary entrepreneurs. I would love to see you there. In the meantime, if you haven't done so already, grab my free brain priming audio file for entrepreneurs and start priming your brain for success in less than 5 minutes each morning. Curious? You can learn more about how this works and download the audio file at www.wiredforsuccess.solutions. Until next time, bye!